Hello, this is Annette from Information Services. Do you have a presentation coming up? Does it have to be presented online? If so, I highly recommend trying Google Slides. Google Slides is a web-based presentation program that you have access to if you have a Google account. So if you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account. And with Google Slides, you're able to create presentations online on a web browser, as well as share and present it with several people all at once. You're also able to collaborate on a single presentation with several people at once, 100 people to be exact, if that's something you need to do. And you don't have to worry about multiple versions of your presentation being created because you're all going to be working on a single presentation. Lastly, what I really like about it is if you have to send your presentation in a different format, you can download a different version of your presentation. So for example, if you need to send someone a PowerPoint presentation of the presentation you created in Google Slides, you can download a PowerPoint format. And you could also download PDFs. So if people have missed your presentation and they need the information, download those PDFs and send it away. So today we're just going to go over some of the basics, some of the editing. We're also going to talk about sharing and presenting. So let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully today's presentation will be helpful to you. Before we get started, I highly recommend downloading the PDF handout from our library website. Our library website is wellesleyfreelibrary.org. And once you get to the landing page, up here in the menu bar, you would click on Services. And under At the Library, you would click on Technology Classes. And you would just need to scroll down the Technology Classes page to the Google Suites area, which is right here. And we're going to go ahead and click on Google Slides. From here, you're able to download the PDF, and I've already done that, and this is what it looks like. So this should help you follow along much more easily with today's video presentation. To access Google Slides, we're going to first start with signing into our Gmail account. So I'm going to do that right here. Now when you get into your Gmail account, as you can see, this is a normal Gmail account setup. Up here in the top right, you should see an icon. This is the Google Apps icon. It's right by usually it's your initial up here. And when you hover over it, you should see Google Apps. And when you click on that icon, you'll see a list of Google Apps. So some of these you're probably familiar with. There's Google Translate, Google Play, Google Photos, Google Drive, and that is the quick way to access it. And of course, right here is Google Slides. Now for many of you, if this is the first time that you've ever accessed Google Slides, you may not see this icon in this menu. If that is the case, you're going to click on Google Docs, which is what we're going to do right now. And right here in the top left, you'll see a main menu icon. You would click on that, and you should see other Google Suites programs, which of course includes Google Slides. So you're going to click on that right there, and you will have access to Google Slides. Now once you're here, to start a new blank presentation, of course, you just click right here under Start New Presentation. There's a little plus sign. And there you go. That is how you access Google Slides and start a new presentation. So when you first start a Google presentation, the first thing you want to do actually is to title it, because if you title it, you save it into Google Drive. So up here in the top left, when you click on Untitled Presentation, click it twice actually, all the words Untitled Presentation should be highlighted, and from there you can automatically start typing a new title. So I'm going to call this one Practice_Google Slides. And to save this, all I'm doing is clicking Enter or Return. And over here by Help, you'll see all changes saved in Drive. You'll notice that I didn't click on File Save as you would if you were working on PowerPoint. I just clicked Enter. So you'll notice up here, every time you make any significant changes into your presentation, all the changes will be saved. So as long as you have internet, things will be saved and you don't have to worry about losing any of your work. Now let's talk about adding slides. There are two ways to add slides, and you do that by using this icon right here in the top left on the toolbar. So the most basic way would be, of course, to click on this plus sign, and it'll provide you the second slide, and it usually is a basic slide like this when you first start. So it's click to add title, so you have a title box and then you have the body text box. Now if you want to use a different layout, what you can do is click on this drop down menu drop down menu icon right here by that plus sign, and you can choose a different format. So let's say I want this one. I can choose this, and you know, it would it definitely is more dynamic and eye-catching, and maybe I'm going to go ahead and go with this. Another thing you can do is change the background color. So for example, if you you want to change the background to a different color or an image, you would click on background right here, and when you click on color, you'll be given a palette and you can choose any color that you would like. So let me go ahead and just choose this blue right here, and then I'm going to click on done. And you'll notice that only one slide has changed to this color. So when you choose a background, just know that it's not going to change all of them. Alternatively, the quickest way to do some quick graphic designing really in Google Slides is to just choose a theme, and you won't have to worry about making sure everything it matches. So over here on the right, when you first start a presentation, the themes window will appear, and you can choose a different theme. So for example, you can choose this one, and you'll notice that it all changed. All of them changed. Instead of just one slide, all of the slides that currently exist have changed. And if I were to add another slide, so let's say I'm going to add this one right here, has the same font, and it also has colors from the same theme. Now I also recommend when you first start your presentation that and after you choose a theme, if you're going to go with a theme, to make sure to close this window, just because you'll notice now you have more to work with. You can see much more without that themes window. Now let's talk about moving slides. So let's say this slide right here, you don't want it to be in the second position. You want to move it down to the bottom. So in order to do that, if you want to move a slide around, you need to click on the slide that you want moved. You're going to click and drag it down. So that's one way of moving slides. You can also, of course, click and drag it up if you want to put it back. So this menu panel is a quick way of just doing some editing instead of putting it around right here where you would, of course, fill up the information. This is where you are mostly concerned with the order of your presentation. Now let's say we want to delete one slide. Maybe you want to do it over. You can click on the slide and either right-click and choose delete, or click on delete or backspace on your computer, and the slide will go away. So that's a quick little intro to the slides themselves. Now let's begin adding content to our Google Slide presentation. So we have a couple of slides here, and you'll notice that within the slides, when you go through them, you'll notice that it just says click to add title, click to add subtitle, click to add text. Now when you choose a pre-made layout, this is what you get. You just click right there, and it'll basically show you that you can automatically type instead of having to delete any of that. So you don't have to worry. If it says click to add title, go ahead and start typing once you click to add title. So I'm just going to call this Google Slides, and then down here I'm going to click to add subtitle. I'm just going to subtitle this mostly free library. And up here, as you can see, all changes saved in Drive. I didn't click on File Save, so that means I don't have to worry about losing my work. I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm going to click on a slide over here in the panel. I'm going to change this to Jackie's room. And again, all changes saved in Drive. So every time you make changes, everything is right there. So let's go ahead and talk about adding a text box. So let's say this is not a layout that you like. Maybe you want more room for typing, or you want to move the text box around. So what you can do is insert a text box, and I'm going to show you that by choosing a blank slide right here. So I'm going to choose, I went to the layout menu, I'm going to choose blank, and I'm going to insert a text box. So there are two ways to do that. You can either click on insert here, so there's insert right there on that menu bar, and you can click on text box. The other way to do it is to click on text box right here. This is probably the faster way on the toolbar. So I'm going to click on text box, and my cursor, as you can see, has changed. It's no longer an arrow, it's now this plus sign. So when it's like this means you can start drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the text box that I want. So I'm going to click, hold, drag to the right and down. And so I can make it as wide as I want, and I can make it as narrow as I want, or small, whichever I want. So I'm just going to keep it a little small over here, and all I have to do is let go. And from here, as you can see, the cursor is now blinking and I can start typing. So I can say, hello everyone. And all changes saved in Drive. And as you can see in the preview panel, you can kind of see what it looks like. So if you, let's say when looking at the preview panel that you don't like the information right there, when you click on the slide that you want to work on, and I'm going to click on where the text is, and then let's say I want the text, this text right here, to be in the bottom right. So I can move this whole text box if I want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my mouse over that top line of the text box, and you'll notice that my cursor has now changed to a 4-directional. So what I'm going to do is click and hold, and then I'm going to bring it to wherever I want. Now keep in mind that you can only move things around when your cursor has changed to that 4-directional. So notice I can't move it around now, but when I bring my cursor to the text box, I'm going to click, hold. I can bring it to wherever I want on the slide itself. Now, apart from adding text boxes, another thing you can do is insert an image. So what you can do is click on Insert, and then you can click on Image, and from here you can upload an image from your computer, or you can get an image from your Photos or Drive, whichever you have quickest access to. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Photos right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and add one of the photos that I have in Google Photos. I'm going to click on Mango, and I'm going to click on Insert. So if you have a pretty well-stocked Google Photos album, you'll have no trouble at all. And again, everything is in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about it taking up space on your computer. This is all just in the Google Cloud. Now with the image, I can resize it as much as I want. So if I want this to be much smaller than it is, what I can do is hover my mouse over any of the corners. I always recommend resizing by the corners. I'm going to hover my mouse over this blue box, and as you can see, my cursor has changed again. And so what I'm going to do is click, hold, and drag towards that other corner in the top left. And now it has resized really nicely. So that is adding an image and adding a text box. One way to make your presentation more dynamic and more eye-catching is to add transitions between slides. So this basically is just the way that your slide will appear as you're doing the presentation. So up here on the toolbar you have transition. So if you click on that, you'll notice that a new window right here, where themes used to be actually, will appear. So right now, none of these slides have transitions, so they would just appear. There'd be nothing new about it. Now right here where it says none, I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose this first one. It's dissolve. Now I'm just going to, if you ever want to preview this, you want to see what it would look like, down here you click on play, and this will show you what it looks like if something were to dissolve in. So I'm just going to click on stop. And so that could be a transition that I like. And I can change it as much as I want. I can also change the speed. Let's say I want it to be a slower reveal. I can do that by clicking on this toggle right here, clicking and dragging to the left or right. Very simple. And I can also apply this transition to all of the slides. So you'll notice right here on this first one, or this first slide that I've added a transition to, that this little icon here, this transitions icon, has appeared. Now, if I want all of them to have the same transition, I need only click on apply to all slides right there. And so now all 4 of the slides in my presentation have the transitions icon. And that is adding transitions to your presentation. So when you're presenting your Google Slides presentation, instead of having cue cards, you can actually add speaker notes. Now speaker notes are notes that you can use that won't appear on the slide itself. So as you can see, this slide up here with the mango and hello everyone, this is what the audience would see. Down here where it says click to add speaker notes, this is just for you. So as you're presenting, especially if you're using a projector, you can have the speaker notes appear on your screen, and whatever is being projected will just be whatever's on the slide. So speaker notes is a great way of adding a lot of information and also keeping you on point. So if there's maybe something you want to add to your presentation, and instead of just inundating your slide with so much information, you could just write all that extra information down here in the speaker notes. And again, it won't be shown to the audience. So I'm just going to go ahead and start typing and go languages taught me Spanish. So when you present, this down here will not appear. Another thing I wanted to point out is when you go to a different slide, you can have individual speaker notes for each slide, so you don't have to worry about getting confused with any of the slides. And that is adding speaker notes. If you're ever concerned about your slides not being uniform, let's say you want a watermark on every slide, and you want that watermark to appear in the same exact place on every slide, but you don't want to have to just copy and paste it and just place it individually in every slide, the quickest way to ensure that every slide has maybe the same logo or watermark is to work on the master slide. So the master slide allows you to make changes that cannot be deleted unless you, of course, change the master slide itself. So let me just go ahead and go into that. So up here on the menu bar, I'm going to click on View, and then I'm going to choose Master. And so this new window will pop up. And as you can see, it'll show you a bunch of slides that have not been created yet. And so what we want to do, though, is make sure that we are in the master slide. The master slide is this first one up here. So this is the master slide, and when you make changes to this particular slide, all the slides will follow suit. Again, nothing will be able to be deleted. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and create a little watermark here at the bottom right. And I'm just going to call this WFL Jackie's room. And so that watermark here at the bottom, I'm actually going to just go ahead and change the font on this. So I'm just going to highlight all of that. And I'm going to change the font to Pacifico. Let's make it nice and red. Let's also make it much larger so that it's more obvious. Okay, I want it also to be further on the bottom right. Okay, so now once I'm done playing with my watermark, you can also add images here if that's something, maybe you have a logo that you want to throw in. You can do that. So once I'm done with my master slide, I'm going to click on this X right here, at this white X here at the top right. And now all these slides should have the watermark. This one does not have the watermark only because of the theme itself, it just doesn't allow for it. But for the most part, all the other slides that would contain information do have watermarks. And that is editing the master slide. Now that we have finished editing our presentation, and hopefully your presentation has much more information than mine currently does, you can now start presenting. So to present, all you need to do is click on this button right here in the top right. It says Present. And this presentation window should appear. Now, when you're in the presentation window, you'll notice that this new toolbar has now appeared. This is your presenter's toolbar. I'm going to go ahead and change this into full screen. So that means instead of your audience seeing this URL and the top part of this browser, they can just have the full screen. So I'm going to click on the full screen icon right here. And this is much better, especially if you're presenting. You don't want them to see anything else or be distracted by anything else. And it's much nicer. Well, the information, well, the presentation is nicer, not the layout. I apologize for that. So down here, you'll notice that the toolbar goes away every time your mouse idles for just a little bit. So if you ever want to bring it back, you just need to move your mouse and the toolbar will appear. Now let's go ahead and talk about moving through the slides. So I'm going to go ahead and, so if you ever want to go through the slideshow, what you're going to do is click on these arrows. So I'm going to click on this previous slide arrow, click on it again, and notice how it will take me to that slide. It'll also show me the transition. So this is, especially if you're going through the presentation, this is probably the best way to do your presentation. Now let's say you have 40 slides and you need to refer to information on a past slide. This arrow, or moving through the slides like this and just clicking on these arrows, this would be much too slow. So the quickest way to move through the slides would be to use this menu over here on the right. So this shows you a list. If you had 40 slides, you can jump through and it'll give you a little keyword from, especially if you added a title to your slide, and you could just jump around. So instead of just going through it very slowly with the transitions, you can actually just go ahead and skip to a slide. Now over here on the right is Q&A. So Q&A allows the speaker and the audience to interact. So when you send out the link for your presentation, people can quietly add notes, especially if you allow them to, of your presentation, and you can refer to their notes. And also, you can allow the questions to appear, or you can just have the questions for yourself so no one can see it. So if you're concerned about someone perhaps putting an inappropriate question, it probably is a good idea not to have the question shown, and you can answer the questions yourself out loud, and you could see the question without having to include other people. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window right here. Now next to Q&A you have notes. This is where your speaker's notes would appear. So if you recall, I put speaker's notes on slide 4, and the speaker's notes or speaker notes are right here. So again, your audience only sees this. They do not see your speaker's notes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close speaker notes here. Another thing that you can do while presenting is change your mouse into a pointer. And so if you need to draw people's attention to something instead of having to invest in a real pointer, or if you're presenting online, this would be a great alternative. You can draw everyone's attention by simply changing your mouse into a pointer. Now let me go ahead and undo that. All I have to do is if I want to change back, is to click on pointer again. And that is, in a nutshell, how you present your presentation. Just click on present and follow this toolbar right here at the bottom. Now that you've completed your Google Slides presentation, you can share it with others. So all you have to do is click on the share button in the top right, it's right here, and you'll see that you have two options of sharing it with people. You can either type in their email address, or if you have a group, you can type in the name of the group and all of the email addresses will appear, or you can send a link. So let's go over the email address first. I'm going to type in mine right here. And so all you have to do is type in the email address and press enter or return. And as you can see, you can delete it if you click on this X. So you know that it has gone through because it's in its own little bubble there. And of course I can just delete it. Now over here to the right, this is where you can change how much control the recipient will have. So you can either make that person an editor, they can do as much as you can. You can make them a commenter, they can view the content, but they can't change it. They can only comment. And of course viewer, which has the most limited access, they can only view the content. Over here you can type in a quick message. Please look it over for any mistakes. And then if you click send right here, the recipient will receive an email, and if they have a Gmail account, they will be able to change the document. They'll be able to edit it as much as you can. Otherwise, if you send it to someone who does not have a Gmail account, say a Yahoo account or a Comcast account, unfortunately they won't be able to do anything but view. Now let's go over the link. Down here you have the option of sending a link. Now as you can see, the default setting is that it's only restricted to people that you have added up here. So you'd have to type in their email address, and only the people you have added up here would be able to view the link. Now, if you want the presentation to be viewable by more people than just the people that you've added, you would need to click on change down here, and then you need to change the access from restricted to public. And now anyone who gets this link, you can send it by social media if you'd like, anyone who gets this link will be able to see this whole presentation. Now does this mean they'll be able to see all the presentations in your Google Slides program? That is not the case, only this one. So that is the other way of getting people to see your presentation. I do recommend keeping it to restricted for now, especially if there's some private information in your presentation. Okay, and that is sharing your Google Slides presentation. Now let's download a PowerPoint format of this presentation. So all you need to do is up here on the menu bar, click on File, and scroll down to Download. And as you can see, you have several options of what types of formats that you can download. So again, you can download a PDF if that's something you need to do, or you can create a JPEG or PNG image of the current slide that you're working on. And of course up here you have PowerPoint. So all you need to do is click on PowerPoint. And you can, of course, if your computer has PowerPoint, you can go ahead and open it in PowerPoint. Otherwise, you can save the file to your computer and open it later. And you would just need to click on OK. And that is basically how you save a PowerPoint from a Google Slides presentation. Finally, let's go ahead and upload a PowerPoint presentation into Google Slides so that we can actually start looking at it and editing it from Google Slides. So we're basically converting. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit this presentation by clicking on the Google Slides icon on the left, and it should take us back to Google Slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little folder here on the right. It's called the Open File Picker. And I'm going to click on Download up here. And then I'm going to choose a PowerPoint from my computer. So I have as you can see, it says libraries.pptx, pptx of course meaning PowerPoint. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to choose Open. And as you can see, it's now going to upload. And once it uploads, you can click on it and again open it in Google Slides and you could view it. So if you have an issue with viewing a document, or if you have an issue viewing a PowerPoint presentation, say your computer does not have PowerPoint, this could be a good alternative for you. So as you can see, this is a PowerPoint that has been converted to Google Slides. And that is how you convert from PowerPoint to Google Slides presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope my tutorial on Google Slides was helpful to you. If you have any questions about Google Slides, please do not hesitate to contact the Information Services Department. You can email us at wellmail3@minlib.net. That should be in the description below. And you can also live chat with us from Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 on the library website. So if you go to wellesleyfreelibrary.org, at the bottom right you should see a chat window, and if you're contacting us from Monday to Friday from 9 to 5, you will be talking directly to a librarian. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.